Okay, it's 12:30, so welcome everybody to the Special Council meeting on the 21st of September. I'd ask everybody to be in attention while I confirm the affirmation. We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We're inspired by the early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment. Thank you. Do we have any apologies? No, I take it there's no apologies. Any disclosures of interest or declarations of conflict of interest? No, I take it there isn't any declarations or conflicts. We'll move straight to the consideration of the reports. 3.1.1 is the Arts and Culture Engagement Review. And we've had quite a few meetings recently and a lot of community consultation in regard to the Arts and Cultural Engagement Policy. We have a recommendation here from our officers. Could I have a councillor move a motion in regard to that, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd like to move that Council receives the community engagement feedback and notes that the feedback will be considered in the development of the final Arts and Cultural Policy 2020 and the Arts and Cultural Strategy 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Could I get a seconder, please?
Happy to second that.
Councillor Heslop, thank you. Councillor Irwin, would you like to speak?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Look, there has been extensive consultation. This will feed into the final Arts and Cultural Policy, and I think we'll have a good document to go forward with. Arts and culture is an important part of community. I definitely can see the value in having a policy and a strategy around this, and we'll see what comes in the future and see what opportunities. Obviously, everyone will have to get through the COVID period thus far, but I think for the future, all is looking good.
Thank you. Councillor Heslop.
Yeah, look, I'm just happy to second this motion. Councillor Irwin and myself attended the Arts and Culture Policy Forum online on Wednesday the 16th, and it was, look, a very positive forum in the form that there was a lot of passionate people out there that are very passionate about the arts. And I think the arts has a big role in our community. It's something that people appreciate because the arts can make you feel good, they're fun, and like as Peter Boyce has just proven with his the lockdown street international lockdown street art festival, it can be done quite inexpensively and it can reach a lot of people in a lot of age groups. So I think art has a big role to play in our community. It's very important that we do acknowledge it. This policy just acknowledges the importance of art to our community and gives us some guidelines which will obviously guide us down the track to what direction we need to go with the arts. And this is a moving document, so this document will change, but it will change. People might put in their opinion to what they think the changes might need to be. So it still is an open document, so people still can comment. But I think that it's important that we get some information out there and start moving on the arts, because there are a lot of people that are passionate arts in our community.
Thank you, Councillor Heslop. Any other councillors like to speak? No, I'll go back to Councillor Irwin. Would you like to sum up?
Just in summing up, We've seen the work of Kyle Tawney over at St Arnaud and what a difference it makes to the community. I think it does certainly have an upside in terms of well-being, and being locked down for a while, people want to get out and about and explore areas. And I think art's one of the attractions that brings people to the area. And this is, as Councillor Herzog said, a living document, and hopefully we can get things up and going.
Thank you. If there's no other speakers, I will put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you for that. Item 3.3.1, the waste strategy. And we've had a lot of discussion over many years about our waste strategies and how they change and how they, we hope they get better. So recently we've had discussions from our staff in regard to the upgrade of the policy now, and we thank them for their input into that, in particular to Kate Sage. I have a recommendation from our officers. Do I have a councillor that could move a motion in regard to that, please?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I would like to move point 1, that Council adopts the waste management strategy, which will provide the strategic direction for waste services for the Northern Grampians Shire Council for the next 10 years.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. I think you just dropped out right at the last second, but I think we've pretty well got the motion. Could I have a seconder in regard to that motion? Could I see a hand if somebody wants to second the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'm happy to second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hosmans. Councillor Reid?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Look, by implementing this trial, it would give Council information regarding the green waste and fits with the 10.
Can I just call you up there? We haven't. The recommendation is not in regard to the green waste, unless you were looking to make an amendment to the motion.
We might have missed that at the start of what Councillor Reid was moving. I think it did cut out just then.
Oh, okay. Could you just give us the motion again, Councillor Reid?
He's cut out again, I think.
Second.
Councillor Reid, are you with us? The technology seems to be failing us.
Yes, I am.
Okay, could you give us the motion again, please?
Okay. Point 1, that Council adopts the waste management strategy, which will provide the strategic direction for the waste services for the Northern Grampians Shire Council for the next 10 years. Now, I've had a second dot point is to introduce a free trial for green waste only over a 2-week period as soon as practicable. That is my motion.
Okay, so I'll call for a seconder again because we didn't get that before, I don't think. And Councillor Hosman, you seconding that motion?
I'm still happy to second that motion. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Reid, would you like to speak on behalf of the motion? I think we've lost you again.
I'm still here.
Okay, could you speak on the motion?
Yeah. With the second dot point, by implementing this trial, it would give Council information regarding the green waste and fits with the 10-year strategy. A further audit could inform the amounts of green waste that is produced. I think it's an essential thing. And yeah, that's my motion and that's my comments.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Hosmans?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I might just talk more generally to the complete motion. Development of this waste management strategy is based on Recycling Victoria reform, the circular economy, along with community engagement, curbside bin audits and Commonwealth, state and regional legislation policies. The the waste management strategy has identified 4 objectives, and they are to improve resource recovery, community-focused waste management systems, adaptive infrastructure and operations, and sustainable strategic planning. And these 4 objectives are all encompassed under the new direction of the Recycling Victoria reform, which is coming in, and the circular economy policy as well, as new waste initiatives with the goals of diverting at least 50% of food organic and garden organic waste from landfill, reducing per person waste by at least 5%, reducing transfer station general waste by 15%, and increasing recyclables by 20%. So this strategy goes towards addressing these objectives. It's a good step forward. Obviously, there's a lot of things we want to do along the way, but we need a strategy and a goal to set us in the right direction to get things moving. I know the community is very keen to see a lot of movement in this area, and there are timeframes which have been set by the state government to bring in all these sort of processes, and this is the first stage of working towards that. And as Councillor Reid says, it's a direction of our shire for the next 10 years. So I'm happy to move that motion. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Second, I take it.
I'll second it, yeah, of course.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak?
I just wish to add that
Just before we go on, can you indicate by your hand movement who's speaking next? Councillor Heslop, thank you.
I just want to thank Marilee for raising that second doc point. This is something that our community has been asking for quite a long time. Some other options for disposing of green waste. So we've had lots of discussions over this over the past 2 weeks. And there was lots of options put forward to us in what direction we will go. We thought this is probably the best option as a trial, and we can do it without any cost to ratepayers at the moment, because we're going to get the money out of our reserves. We have a waste reserve, so we're going to use that as part of this recommendation, and there'll be no cost to ratepayers, and it's what ratepayers have been asking for a long time. So I'm more than happy to agree to Marilee's recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin?
Yeah, look, I think it is a good option. It'll be useful information to inform things down the track. There's a lot happening in the waste space at the moment, and there's a few question marks still to be decided, but I think the waste area is heading in a much better direction, and I think there'll be some real opportunities down the track, and this is the start of a journey, not the end. And I think to get the information from Councillor Reid's second dot point there will be very useful. I would like to see an audit of bins in terms of, after this happens, that maybe can inform the amount of green material that's in the bins, and see if it's had any impact at all, and gauge that impact. So I think it'd be good to have this 2-week trial, and it'll be useful information to use down the track.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Any other Councillor Driscoll?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Concurring on other councillors' comments, and I think this is an overall policy strategy. Obviously, there's got to be a lot of mandatory changes coming introduced by the government over the next few years. But I think from our perspective, we need to gain as much information and provide an efficient and deliverable service to our community. And I think apart from the overarching waste strategy in the short term, the green waste issue has been quite contentious. And I think this is certainly a way for us to demonstrate the uptake, responding to our community. So I'm very happy to support the motion.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Reid, would you like to sum up?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for that.
I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 3.3.2, the asset management policy review, strategy, I'm sorry. And we have a recommendation here. Can I get a motion in regard to that, please? Councillor Driscoll, thank you. Could you tell us what the motion is, Councillor Driscoll?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Council adopts the draft sustainable asset management policy and draft sustainable asset management strategy.
Thank you. And Councillor Irwin, you're seconding, are you?
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is a critical piece of work, I think, in terms of certainly our council. We we manage nearly $500 million worth of assets. So from that perspective, because of our long-term funding, I suppose not aspirations, but in terms of from 2 tiers of government where we're going to get our funding in terms of ongoing sustainability, it's critical that we manage our assets and align it to our funding correctly. So from that perspective, it's going to be challenging over the next few years. If you're looking in terms of what we should be spending and we can spend to maintain our assets, critically, this is why this document is so important ongoing for our community and our shire.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin?
Yeah, look, some of these changes have been brought on by the new Local Government Act, but I guess we've always had a plan around asset management. This is probably a step further, and I think credit to all the work that's been done around this. This will hold us in good stead for the future, as Councillor Driscoll has said.
Thank you for that. Any other councillors like to speak? Thank you. Councillor Driscoll, would you like to sum up?
No, only, Mr. Mayor, I think it just illustrates the funding shortfall between local government and other tiers of government in terms of asset maintenance. It's a critical issue, and I think it is a sleeping giant for councils going forward, especially councils our size.
Thank you for that. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 3.4.1, the annual report for 2019-20. And we have a reasonably lengthy recommendation there. Can I get a councillor to move a motion in regard to that recommendation or some other motion? Councillor Heslop, thank you. Could you tell us what
I'm happy to move the recommendation that council, in accordance with section 132 brackets 2 and bracket 5 of Local Government Act 1989, 1, approves in principle the following statements for the 2019-20 financial year. Financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2020 and performance statement 2019-20, and authorises Councillor Irwin and Councillor Heslop to certify the 2019-20 statements as detailed in part 1 of the recommendation in their final form after any changes recommended or agreed to by the Auditor General have been made and in accordance with the recommendation requirements of the Local Government Act 1989.
Thank you for that. Can I get a seconder in regard to that motion?
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin. Councillor Heslop?
The annual financial statements and the annual performance statement are now completed in draft and were reviewed and endorsed last week at last week's Audit and Risk Committee meeting, 16th December 2020, which Councillor Kevin Irwin and myself attend as councillor representatives. The financial statements reflect the position of council's performance at the end of the financial year. The performance statement contains a result of service outcomes indicators, the formal financial performance indicators and sustainable capacity indicators for the financial year and are included in the annual report. The Auditor General's representative RSD Audit presented their findings to the Audit and Risk Committee and are comfortable with the results, the numbers reported in the reports. The auditors did advise of one outstanding matter that is still being reviewed by the Auditor General's office. The matter relates to the revaluation of assets. It's more about where in the financial statement the numbers should be reported rather than any concern about the accuracy of the numbers. The Audit and Risk Committee is recommending that Council now improves the financial statements and the performance statement in principle so that any financial final adjustments from the Auditor General can be signed off at a later date. Overall, the financial statements show that Council has recorded a 3.3 million surplus for the last financial year and spent a total of 11.3 million on capital works. Council has a healthy balance sheet with almost 80 million in cash, with much of these funds committed to future community projects. So very good financial statement and performance statements and very good results.
Thank you, Councillor Irwin.
Yeah, look, Councillor Hersop summed that up well. We did end up in a healthy financial position, but as she said, a lot of that money is committed to projects further down the track, and also some annual leave and superannuation payments, and some other financial requirements. There is a lot of accountants speak in it, but look, I think credit must go to all those in the financial team. It is a good result, and for a small rural council, I think should be very proud in which the way they're performing. So well done to all in the team. And as Councillor Hersop mentioned, there is that query around which financial year a figure will go in around the assets. I guess the accountants will work that out, or the Auditor General will work that out, which the Council has had discussions with. So all in all, a great performance, and well done to all.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? No. Councillor Eslop, you'd like to sum up?
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Could I just put that vote again? A couple of hands I didn't see, I don't think. Councillor Reid must have frozen on us again, I think. Okay, I'll... anyone against? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Item 3.4.2, the extension of COVID-19, the financial and hardship policy. Of course, everybody understands how difficult it's been, and congratulations must go to our team, Liana and our team at the in the Northern Grampians Shire, for the way they've handled the COVID thing so far. Let's hope it's starting to come to an end. But in the wisdom of the council, we would like the financial hardship policy to be extended. And could I get a motion in regard to that, please? Councillor Irwin. Thank you.
Yes, Mr Mayor. Look, I'd like to move that we extend the COVID-19 financial support and hardship policy to the 30th of June 2021.
Thank you. And Councillor Driscoll, you're seconding?
Happy to do that, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin?
Yeah, look, this is designed to try and take some of the pressure off local businesses. It's not the be all and end all, but it's a step in the right direction. And because COVID is a little bit unknown, I hope Council will decide to extend this policy out to June, end of June next year, which is basically the financial year. It has been a difficult time, and I think for everyone in the community, not just business operators, it's been a really difficult time for everyone. And hopefully this will take the pressure off, take some pressure off. I think enough's been said about COVID, so I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll?
I think Councillor Irwin's covered it pretty well, but I think it's a contribution to help our community from the Shire. Okay, we haven't got buckets of resources, but at least it gives some assistance where it's really needed. And we know some businesses and some people are hurting, so this is the least we can do.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? No, I'll just make one comment if I could. I think it's a great initiative of our people to ask council to consider an extension, because I think in March, when the state and federal government funding starts to reduce, I think that'll be the very important time for our community where they might be needing some financial help from their particular shires. And I think the initiative for our people to suggest that is a good one, and I would be supporting the motion. Anybody else like to speak? Councillor Irwin, like to sum up?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Look, there hasn't been a lot of uptake to this policy at the moment, but as you said, once some of the payments come off, there might be a lot more uptake. So if anyone's experiencing any difficulty at all, please contact the Shire officers in regards to any of these policy rates or anything. Please contact the council officers and don't feel that you have to do everything on your own. So we're there to try and assist if possible, and please make use of that offer.
Thank you for that. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. .4.3, the Council Action Plan. Can I have a motion in regard to the Council Action Plan, please? 3.4.3. Thank you, Councillor Driscoll. Could you give your motion, please?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The motion is that the Council accepts and adopts the Council Action Plan for 2021.
Thank you. Councillor Irwin, you're seconding, eh?
Happy to second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think this is, once again, every document's important, but I think this in terms of and I know we don't want to bang on too much about COVID, but all this uncertainty in terms of what's been going on for the last 12 months, this plan clearly identifies to our community and our partners what we're going to achieve for the next 12 months. There's timelines around when it's to be completed, when it's to be commenced, and when it's to be completed. So it's a very transparent approach in terms of what, as a council, we're attempting to do. So I think that is a critical piece of work, and I commend the work that's gone behind it, and I think it gives some clarity around where we're heading for the next 12 months. All these initiatives are funded, so it's just a matter of how we deliver them. So from that perspective, I think it's a very, very commendable piece of work.
Thank you for that. Councillor Irwin?
Yes, I think it's been well summed up by Councillor Driscoll. It is a very extensive action plan, and will certainly keep the officers busy over the next 12 months or so. So well done to all involved. It clearly sets out a path forward, and yes, it'd be a great effort to actually complete it all.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak about the Council Action Plan? No. Councillor Driscoll, like to sum up?
Well, I think I'll just echoing Councillor Irwin's sentiment. If people take the time to have a look at it, you'll find there's some massive initiatives in there. So I think from that perspective, you just don't realise how much is going on or how much is going to be achieved in the next 12 months. So I think it's sensational.
Thank you. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 3.4.4, the Rural Council Transformation Program Withdrawal. And all councillors would remember that we put in place a motion a while back to support the transformation program. Circumstances have now changed, so we have a recommendation in regard to that. Councillor Reid, you'd like to move the motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, that the Northern Grampians Shire Council formally withdraws from the Central Highlands Rural Transformation Project and pursues regional collaborative projects.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder in regard to that, please?
I'm happy to second.
Thank you. Councillor Reid?
I hope you can hear me, Mr. Mayor, because I'm not hearing everything that's been going on. But
You are right. We can't hear you right now.
State government funded grant program that encouraged councillors to share services with the aim of reducing operating costs, improving organisational effectiveness and delivering improved services to the community. On Monday, the 17th of August 2020, the City of Ballarat advised local government Victoria that the program is no longer viable and therefore should be discontinued. So this is what we're doing, we're discontinuing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Heslop?
Yeah, look, we're following advice that's been given to us, but it doesn't mean that we can't look at doing shared service options in other avenues down the track. It's something that council's always been trying to work towards, to share services with other shires. It saves us a lot of money and it makes a lot of sense. And it's something that, as I said, council has always been on council's plan and something that council has always been very passionate about. So I assume that down the track we will still pursue this, but pursue this in a different options in a different way.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Irwin?
Yeah, look, it started off with great enthusiasm, this project, and it's a bit unfortunate that it doesn't show the benefits that it promised early on, but it doesn't mean that council won't continually look for efficiencies, and I'm sure that all the council officers are continually looking for efficiencies. So happy to support the motion.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? If not, go back to Councillor Reid to sum up. And I think she's dropped out on us a bit. I might ask the seconder of the motion, Councillor Heslop, if she would like to sum up in the absence of.
No, I've nothing further to add.
Okay. Thank you. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. I think that concludes the General Council meeting. We have a couple of items to deal with, confidential items to deal with in closed council. So I would ask for a motion that the council takes those items to those confidential items to closed council.
I'd like to move that we move those two items into closed council.
Thank you. Could I get a seconder in regard to that?
Have a second.
Thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. I also need a motion that we actually move to closed council to deal with those confidential matters.
I'll move that we go into closed council to deal with those two items.
Thank you. And Councillor Driscoll.
I'll second that.
Councillor Rob. Thank you, Rob. All in favour? Against? Carried. So it just takes us a few seconds to get to closed council, so everybody can bear with it for a minute.